Hello YouTube, I'm back with another challenge video. Before I get started, I want to ask a quick question, because this challenge that I'm doing, going from lake to lake, catching a boss fish before I go to the next lake, blah blah blah, me and my mate did this as a race a while ago, and these first 5 lakes are standard. They're the lakes that come with the game, so you get Observatory, Loren, Digger Lake, St John's Lake, President Monte Bravo. Then you get Foundry, then you get Le Lac d'Or, then on my game it's the Moat. And my mate was getting a little bit ahead of me, he was winning the race, but after Le Lac d'Or, his next one was Woldsey. And I thought, that's a bit strange, why are they in a different order? It's not the order that I've downloaded the lakes in, with the exception of Foundry Dock, which was out when I already bought the game. I've bought the rest of the lakes on the day they were released. It's just, for some reason, this is the order that they've come in on my game. I'm going on to Le Lac d'Or next, so I'll start loading that up now, but I'm just curious to know what order the lakes are in your game. So if they're in a different order to what they are on mine, just leave a comment and let me know. I just want to know. I think it's a little bit strange that they've come out in a different order. Like I said, I bought all the maps, all the lakes, sorry, individually. I didn't buy the season pass. My mate didn't either, he's bought all the maps on release date. I bought the game, liked it, and thought, oh, there's another lake out for this, so I'll buy that. And then noticed that there was a season pass, but by that point I thought, I'm not really going to gain anything from actually buying the season pass now, because I've already bought one of the lakes. I'd be sort of wasting my money to buy the season pass, and at that point I didn't know whether I actually was going to really enjoy the game that much. I hadn't been playing it for very long. So I'm going to go to this peg over here. This is the one I usually go to on this lake. I genuinely don't know how my the tackle box that I'm using is actually going to work out on here, because I'm just using maggots or worms. If you are unfamiliar with the challenge that I'm doing, I explain it in every single video. I can't be arsed explaining it again. Just watch some of my other videos and figure it out. It pretty much explains itself anyway. I think you can put 2 and 2 together from what I've already said in this video. So I'm going to fish fairly close in on this one, maybe 30 to 40 yards. I'll go for 35, 34 will do. So that's the chopped worms on rod 1. I'll go for red maggot on this one. Again, I'm just using all silt rigs. I think is it the IQD rig? No, it's just a braided hair rig, size 12. It's not the IQD rig at all. The IQD rig is the one that I would use if I'm using like a size 4 rig and I'm going for the bigger fish. On this, I'm not particularly bothered about going for like the massive fish. Any boss fish counts. So we're away into the first fish. I think one of the main reasons I always pick this swim is there's some massive catfish in this water. and they're very capable of just taking all your line. You've got about 220 yards of line on your reel. Might be a little bit more than that, might be a little bit less, I can't quite remember, but yeah, they're fully capable of taking all your line, and if you go into one of the massive areas of the lake where there's loads of open water in front of you, they can just run and run and run and just end up taking all of it. I've had that happen to me on numerous occasions, so I like to think if I fish in this little bay, they can't really get out into open water. If they're going to run directly across from me, there's not 220 yards worth of lake there for them to actually run away in. There's still a chance they can like go off to the right, but there's less chance of them taking off on my line. Plus, I've had some luck in this area anyway. It's this area where I've actually caught most of the boss fish in this lake. Nice little tench to start us off. Well, not little, but it's £5 6 ounces. I'd be happy with that. It's definitely a decent spot, this one. I mean, 3 takes already. I've only been fishing here for like a minute. I think I'm exaggerating, it's probably a little bit longer than that, but you know what I mean. So my other rods aren't really doing anything for me at the moment. They're not working for me because they're not out in the water. As soon as this comes in, I'm going to get rod 2 back out. I'm not going to bother looking at the fish straight away. I'm just going to get rod 2 back out just so we can just carry on fishing. There we go. Let's see what rod 1 was. That one's been sitting there a while. Oh, nice little koi. £16.3. That's cool. Oh, wrong rod again. Oh, and I've pressed the wrong button there. I've reset it. I was actually in a good spot as well. Never mind, I'll get that back out in a minute. Oh, another koi. £14.5 this time. Right, let's get rod 2 back out first. I really want to go fishing at some point soon in real life. I need to try and get a lift though, and there's a couple of bits that I need to get from the tackle shop first. Like I've mentioned to you guys in the past, the reason I need to get a lift is because I ride a motorbike myself, so I can't exactly ride about with all my gear. It's just not practical. And one of the things that I need to buy is a bigger landing net, because the one I've got I bought online, it didn't show any dimensions with it, so I've ended up buying a landing net that's like really too small for what I actually want. So again, that's something else that I can't really carry back on my bike. So I need to try and get a lift. had quite a lot of activity so far since I got to this lake. This is quite unusual for this lake. It normally fishes quite slowly. That was a lot of slack line. You see that? That took ages to reel it all in. Look at this one, going for a walk. Taking some line. I have got my drag set quite low, but if you look at the reel tension, it's right up at the top, so I can't really put it any higher. So if I was to put it to like 32, I reckon it would just start beeping. Oh, alright, prove me wrong. It's not beeping yet. Still not coming in though. Well, it started to now. I don't think it's a boss. I think this is just like maybe a high 20s, low 30s. It's coming a little bit too easy to be a boss, I think. There's a lump though. Yeah, £30, 15. Exactly where I said it would be. Which rod was that? Was that 3? Yeah, it was. Let's get that back out. This is actually quite unusual for this lake to actually be catching fish after fish like this. Because normally, like I said, this lake fishes quite slowly. That's £8, 6 ounce tench, that's cool. Oh, rod 3 straight away. Speaking of tench, I had a little go with this game yesterday, just to try and get a little bit of a break from this challenge with the maggot baits and the worm baits and everything. I thought I'll go for some of the bigger fish on the moat, and I was fishing there. I didn't really stay on for very long, to be honest. I was on there for maybe like 30-40 minutes, and I ended up, like I said, going for the bigger fish. I was using like the 20mm tiger nuts and like really heavy gear, and I caught Nelly, which is a £10 4 ounce tench. Like I said, I was going for the bigger fish, but didn't quite work out that way. Still pretty cool to catch a £10 tench though. There's a tench. They seem to like the worms and the maggots. Bear that in mind if you ever want to come and catch a tench. The maggots, the worms, the casters, they seem to work. Seem to catch them. Also koi, if the start of this this little run was anything to go by. Caught 2 koi on a row, didn't I? Come on, get in. I hate when they do this, when they're dead close in and they start beeping at you and they just don't want to... There we go. No matter what you do, you stood there, you're reeling in, but you're just not bringing in any line. The fish isn't actually going anywhere, so it's not pulling line out or anything. Oh, alright mate. You just take all the line you want, you're alright. Yeah, so the fish is not like taking out any line or anything, it's just sitting there under your feet. You're trying to reel in, but you're not pulling in any line, it's just stalemate. Usually that means small fish. Because, like this one I'm fighting now, I think this is quite a big fish, because it's taking loads of line out. This one is pretty much knackering itself out. So when this one gets into like 6-8 feet, it's just going to go straight into catch mode, because this is where the fight's happening now, while the fish is taking out loads of line and it's tiring itself out. The smaller fish, they come in quickly and then fight hard underneath your feet. Because they're not tired yet, they haven't had the runabout that the bigger fish would, because you've sort of, in a way, you're bullying them in. This could be a small catfish. It's either a small catfish or a big carp. I haven't actually seen the fish yet, so I'm not quite sure. But we'll get this next one in first, before we have a look. So I think once I have caught a boss fish on here, I'm not saying I've caught one yet, because I don't know, although that last one showed a bit of promise. Once I have caught a boss fish on here, on my list of lakes, the next one is the Moat. But like I said at the start of the video, I'm not sure whether that would be the same for everyone. I'm interested to know what order the lakes are in on your game, so if they're any different to mine, please leave a comment, because like I said, I'm just interested to know. Me and my mate did this as a race, and I thought he was trying to cheat, trying to skip ahead of a few lakes. Because when I said, oh, the next lake is Manor Farm, he was like, no it's not, it's the Moat. Or wherever it was he was going to. £19, 14 ounce common, that's cool. Nice long fish, that one. Oh, that's a big lump, isn't it? £31.13. I think that's the one that gave me a run around. I can't remember which rod it was that went off that it took me all around the lake. Or at least took a bit of line out anyway. I think it could have been that rod too, to be honest. I don't think this one's very big. Nice bream though. £8.13, can't argue with that. So still no bosses yet. Let's have another go. Cast that a bit too far, but that's better than not casting far enough, because you can always bring it back. See, I want to be around between 30 and 40 yards. I'm not that interested, I'm not that bothered to be like exactly, say, 33 yards or exactly 34 yards, just between 30 and 40 in that sort of general area. That's a little bit short. I'm going to spot some bait out now. So after I've done this, then I will be trying to get to the exact spot that I've cast before, because I've got a better bait out there. That's also the reason I'm putting all my rods close together, because if I spot bait out right in the middle of where my rods are, it's hitting every rod. So it's baiting up the area where all my rods are. This is coming in very fast. What do you reckon, little roach? That's what I think. We'll find out in a minute. So this one isn't necessarily running away, but it's giving me a bit of a fight. I've put my line tension up to 30. I didn't put it any higher than that because it's right up at the top. If my previous live streams or anything to go by, I'm due a boss fish by now, because most of my live streams are normally about just over 20 minutes long, and by that point I've caught a boss fish. And we're just over 23 minutes at the moment. I haven't really caught any of the smaller varieties of bosses out of here. I think I might have caught a boss tench, but I don't think I've caught any of the boss roach. Well, I know I haven't caught a boss roach, and I don't think I've caught a boss bream either. I think this is one of the lakes I haven't really fished that much, so although I do like this lake, I reckon it's awesome. There's just lakes that I prefer over this one. I don't think I've caught any of the boss catfish out of here either. So once I'm done with this challenge, I might actually come back on here and stream another live stream where I'm actually targeting the bigger fish, the catfish. So I'm using the bigger baits, I'm using the bigger line, bigger hooks and all that sort of stuff. Nice big bream. Oh, there we go. I said I was due a boss, didn't I? I've gone and caught the spoiler. Like I said, I don't think I've caught any boss bream out of here, so there's another one that I haven't caught before. £12.14, that's a massive bream. Doesn't really look any bigger than the other bream that I've caught in this game, or maybe a little bit. But if you think back, I think the last bream that I caught on this stream was about £8. This one doesn't really look much bigger than it. I'm hoping this next game that Dovetail bring out, which is coming out in September, I think the 18th, Fishing World Sim or World Fishing Sim or something along those lines, I can't quite remember. I know I've got the right words, I just don't think I've got them in the right order. £30, 7oz common, that's cool. I'm hoping on that one, when you look at the size of the fish, it actually represents the weight of the fish, if you know what I mean. Look at that to finish it off, tiny little roach. Oh my god, £0.15 ounces. That's. I didn't think you could get a fish smaller than a pound on this game. That's the first time I've caught a fish smaller than a pound. So that's a personal worst. Not complaining though, they all count. So yeah, I think the point I was trying to make, if you look at Presa del Monte Bravo, for instance, you've got a fish there called Fishy McFishface. That's a £60 common. You pull that out and you think, yeah, okay, that looks like a £60 common. And then you pull out a fish called Cuts, who's also a £60, I can't remember whether it's a common or a mirror. But when you get him on the bank, you're like, okay, compared to Fishy McFishface, that's £100 by the look of him, because he's just, it's almost double the size of him. How can those fish both be £60? It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave the video. Like I said, have a look at the order in which the DLC lakes go on your game, and just leave a comment if they're any different to how mine are, because I'm just interested in finding out. Like I said, me and my mate had a bit of a discussion about how they were, for some reason, in a different order, although we both downloaded them on release date. So that'll do for this video. Like I said, I'm going now. I'll see you next time. See you later.